From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 1963, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, May 6, 2015. Ham Radio became a first responder after a magnitude 7.8 earthquake hit Nepal Saturday, April 25th. As this report was being prepared, at least 5,000 were known dead and many others missing. The quake also triggered avalanches on Mount Everest with several climbers killed. Bill Pasternak, WA6ITF, is in the newsroom with the latest.
Within hours of the quake hitting, ham radio operators from around the world were on the air offering whatever support they could provide. Here in the United States, one of those radio amateurs was Wayne Odakowski and Zero UN in Parker, Colorado, who served as one of many net controllers on 20 meters.
This is Norway Zero United Norway assisting the Nepalese disaster communication group that's been assembled here on 14215 to gather information, to make contacts and do what we can with our ham radio stations, and also trying to keep 14205 free and clear for emergency communications only.
Soon it was learned that with almost no communications into and out of Nepal, that even governments wanting to provide aid were turning to monitoring the ham radio bands.
I don't know how this has happened, but we got a call from someone in the UK who has actually informed of what we're doing, informed the British government, and they were very excited to hear what we're doing. They are monitoring those frequencies, Wayne, Dan, they're monitoring this frequency now and 14205 to get the latest updates that they can get from us.
That was Amir Bazak, 4X6TT in Israel. Meantime, the Nepal Amateur Radio Society is providing emergency communications in the wake of the disaster. Stadesh Kahal, 9N1AA, reports that he was using solar power and was coordinating his efforts with the police in the capital city of Kathmandu. Kathmandu was among the areas hardest hit.
We'll have follow-up reports in future newscasts. Late updates will be posted to the Amateur Radio Newsline Facebook page as they come in. Amateur radio is poised to gain access to 2 new bands as the FCC prepares to implement treaty obligations reached at the 2007 and 2012 World Radio Communications Conferences. Here's Stephen Kinford, N8WB.
In a combined 257-page report and order, the FCC has allocated a new low-frequency band from 135.7 to 137.8 kilohertz to the amateur service on a secondary basis. Allocation on this sliver of spectrum at 2,200 meters was in line with the final acts of the 2007 World Radio Communication Conference. The FCC has also proposed a new secondary 630-meter medium frequency allocation at 472 to 479 kilohertz to amateur radio. However, no amateur radio operation will be permitted in either band until the FCC determines the specific Part 97 rules it must create to permit operation. This could take some time. It should be noted that hams would share both allocations with unlicensed Part 15 power line carrier systems. These systems are operated by electric companies to monitor and control power distribution systems. Last, FCC has raised the secondary amateur service allocation at 1,900 to 2,000 kilohertz of 160 meters to primary status.
The 257-page master document that outlines all the changes to be implemented across the electromagnetic spectrum can be found at the link in this week's Amateur Radio Newsline report. The United States Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard are co-sponsoring the annual Military Amateur Radio Crossband Communication Tests in celebration of Armed Forces Day and the 90th anniversary of MARS, the Military Auxiliary Radio System.
This annual event is described as a unique opportunity to test two-way communications between amateur radio and military stations. The event features traditional military to amateur crossband SSB, CW, and legacy interoperability modes. And this year, amateur stations may try their hand at using more modern military communications such as MIL STD, serial PSK, and automatic link establishment.
That's Ralph Squalacci, KK6ITB. The actual Armed Forces Day is celebrated on Saturday, May 16th. This year's crossband communications test will be conducted May 9th and 10th to prevent conflict with the Dayton Hamvention. You'll find links to more information in this week's Amateur Radio Newsline report. And speaking of Hamvention, the prizes are rolling in and stacking up.
Prizes to be awarded at the 2015 Dayton Hamvention have exceeded $55,000, and additional donations are still coming in. Several transceivers highlight the major prizes. These include an IC7600 and ID 5100A from ICOM America, 3 TS590Gs from Kenwood USA, an FTDX1220 and an FT450D from Yaesu USA, and a DX-SR9T from Alinco. The biggest prize in physical size is a U.S. Tower HDX 555 55-foot crank-up tower.
Hamvention is May 15th through the 17th. Be sure to look for us at the Ham Nation booth next to Heil Sound in Audio Alley all weekend. Dr. Tamitha Skov will be at the Antenna Forum on Friday at 2:30 p.m. And don't miss the Ham Nation Forum Saturday morning at 10:30. Both of these forums will be in Forum Room 1. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for over 37 years and counting at www.arnewsline.org. For Bill Pasternak, WA6ITF, Stephen Kinford, N8WB, and Ralph Squilacci, KK6ITB, I'm Don Welbanks, AE5DW, 73. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.